Hello Vols, welcome back to our final week of our bathtub swim lesson and water safety series. In this week's water safety topic, we will once again be going over beach and ocean safety. And in this week's bathtub swim lesson, we will be learning how to do roly-polies. Before we get started, I wanted to give a huge shout out and thank you to my wonderful nieces and nephew, Polly, Henley, Miles, and Jane. They did such a good job, and I could not have made this series without their help. I am by no means an expert in ocean safety, so I consulted one. Gabby Thomas is a San Diego beach lifeguard. She even spent the last year teaching beach and ocean safety in New Zealand. The following information is by no means everything that you need to know about beach and ocean safety, but it is a start. We will be going over how to pick the right beach, taking beach hazards and your own swimmability into consideration, as well as sun safety, flotation devices, and even a little bit about marine life. When you have it as an option, you should always choose a lifeguard beach, and like the pool and the lake, you should never swim alone. Also, like with the pool and the lake, parents need to keep a close watch on children and set strict boundaries for their safety. As a parent, you should always be with your child, actively supervising without distractions. Even those who know how to swim well are not immune to the dangers of the ocean. Just because you or your child can swim well in a pool doesn't mean that you can do so in the ocean when you have waves, tides, and currents to swim through. You should always be aware of hazards on the beach that you are swimming, including, but not limited to, piers, tides, rocks, sandbars, currents, shore breaks, water temperatures, and marine animals. Make sure that you obey all signage and lifeguard instructions. When it comes to the beach, you really need to stay sun safe. Wear sunscreen of at least 30 SPF, and bring your own shade. Your own shade can include hats and sunglasses, as well as umbrellas and tents. At the beach, the best personal flotation device is still a Coast Guard approved life jacket. You should not rely on a boogie board or surfboard as a life-saving flotation device. However, if you get into trouble, you should use them until help arrives. Next, we will be going over rip currents. How to not only recognize them, but how to get out of one as well. Rip currents cause 99% of ocean drownings, so it is vital that you know where and why rip currents form. Rip currents form next to piers, fixed objects, or in deep spots along the ocean coast. They form because water coming in with waves needs a way to get back to the ocean. The rip current is how the water does that. You can recognize a rip current by observing a few key things. First being a spot with little or no waves. Rip currents take the path of least resistance to deeper water, but waves only crash on shallower sandbars. That is why you will see a spot with no waves, where the current is being pulled back out to sea to the deeper spot. Next, you could see murky water because the water moving back out to sea will take sand with it. And finally, sometimes you will see ripples or a river-like channel between the sandbars. Can you spot the rip current in the picture? Now that you know why a rip current happens and what it looks like, you need to know how to get out of one. First, you need to stay calm. I know that this is easier said than done, but remember that rip currents pull you out, not down and under, and they only pull you as far as the waves start breaking. Second, swim to the side. Fighting the current by swimming directly into it is tiring. By swimming sideways or parallel with the shore, you will save energy, and once out of the current, the waves will help get you back to the shore. Third, relocate. Swim to where you see waves. When it comes to marine life, you should always give marine life space and respect. This includes crabs, starfish, and even the tide pool creatures. They are delicate, and we should always do what we can to protect them. Now, let's go over some of the more serious sea animals. First being jellyfish. These little blobs will float with the tides, eventually washing ashore. Some are more poisonous than others. Treat stings by rinsing with warm water or vinegar. Stingrays come to shore in the warmer summer months. Avoid by shuffling your feet. A sheath on their barbs emits a neurotoxin that is broken down by hot water of more than 100 degrees. Next, let's talk about sharks. The juvenile sharks feed on stingrays, whereas adult sharks feed on fish and seals. Shark attacks are very rare, but avoid swimming at beaches where recent sightings have happened. And finally, sea lions. They are generally playful and friendly, but if you get too close, they can bite. In this week's bathtub swim lesson, we will be learning how to do roly-polies. Roly-polies are a really important skill to know how to do, but you have to have all of the lessons that we've done before this to be able to get to this point. In order to do the best roly-poly possible, you have to be able to float on your front and your back. Roly-polies help you to get a breath and can even help you to rest if you're tired from swimming on your stomach. Why is picking your head up whenever you breathe such a bad thing? Well, it causes your feet to sink. Whenever you do a roly-poly, it actually helps your body maintain that floating body position without your feet sinking to the bottom. Once again, we will be starting with Polly, our 20-month-old parent-child age swimmer. At this age, Polly hasn't quite mastered being able to float by herself on her front and her back, but it's never too soon to start helping her feel what it's like to flip from her back to her front. If you notice, her eyes don't even go into the water, but we're just practicing the basic motion of flipping onto her back, and I hold her there until her ears are in the water, and then flipping back onto her fronts. If you notice, she does try to fight the roly-poly and her legs come up. Next, we have Miles, our 3-year-old preschool age swimmer. For Miles, we started with an assisted roly-poly, where he goes eyes in by himself, but then I help him to turn onto his back. And then he floats by himself on his back, and then I help him to turn back over onto his front. And then he progresses to doing the whole process by himself. 1, 2, 3, eyes in. 1, 2, 3, roll on your back. 1, 2, 3, big breath. 1, 2, 3, eyes in. You will notice here that I actually hold his head as soon as he flips over onto his back, just to make sure his eyes don't go underwater. And for our last roly-poly of the day, we have Jane, our 6-year-old school-age swimmer. For Jane's first step in her progression, we just have her practice the basic roly-poly. 1, 2, 3, eyes in. 1, 2, 3, roll on your back. Back and forth, until she has it mastered without anybody supporting her. And then, for the next step of her progression, we actually have her do the roly-poly while she's swimming. She goes 1, 2, 3, eyes in, and then she does ice cream scoopers for 1, 2, 3, turn on your back. She goes 1, 2, 3, big breath, and then 1, 2, 3, eyes in, where she continues to do those ice cream scoopers. And for her, she can do this back and forth, as a roly-poly does, all the way down the pool. And in this one progression, you can see the culmination of every single thing that we've done in our bathtub swim lesson series.